Okay, so we're back with another day of coding here. So we're going to get back into working on this GUI pretty much. So between last video, I did actually do a little bit more work. There was some major issues with the transition to the frame system. We were still trying to load all of our subframes as part of our center frame. What we wanted to do is load our subframes inside of the group frame here, which is the center frame is our group frame. That way, when we click our buttons here, they actually do things. And oh, I'm still on speaker here. Let's fix that before we get a lot of feedback. Unfortunately, until I restart, you will get a little bit of feedback, but I think you guys can deal with that considering almost all of my videos have static in them from the headset. But yeah, we reload, we do this, we can open that up. Now if we do our sub things here, that still works. And interestingly enough, I think that audio is coming out of my monitor and not my speakers. I wonder what my computer's doing. But yeah, these all work properly now. They weren't working properly after I made the last video. We still haven't fixed the double render on the name here. We'll get to that here in a bit. I'm pretty sure that's being caused by just calling render twice by mistake. It's probably the same thing that's breaking these. For this video though, we're going to fix the height of these. We're going to fix the size and height of all the components. The reason why there's a big black rectangle over here is that this is the event frame. It's on this side. We need to change it. We need to pull its position up here, and we need to change its background color to match other things. We also need to pull this over a little bit, which it should have already been pulled over, but it's not aligning up just right. Let's hit that first. That'll be a good thing to work with. So yeah, I had to fix all the things. So we switched over to calling show instead of calling load frame. So we were calling load frame previously. Now it's called show, and show does somewhat similar to what the load frame is, except it doesn't remove things by default. It just hides the frame. That way you don't have to keep remaking your frames. The only reason we're remaking these guys, because these guys do, when they switch, they actually remove themselves, is because these are kind of unique-ish. If we didn't remake these every time, what we'd have to do is we have to recycle their data, which we might do here later. I am considering doing a refresh system because when I resize, it resets the whole GUI. So what I'm thinking about doing is caching whether or not we've created the GUI already, and then resize the entire GUI automatically based on the size of our screen currently. It won't be too difficult to do because all we have to do is start doing percentiles of how wide our screen is and how tall of our screen is, and start feeding those percentiles into a few equations to determine how big our components are going to be, and then have those component widths and heights auto-update just like we're doing with our positions. So the positions auto-update, that way we don't have to keep track of the exact locations. Although we do keep track of the exact locations, we don't have to program the exact locations. Like we just go, I want to be 100 from the left, and it just automatically understands that it needs to be somewhere over here, although it's a little off, which is what we gotta fix. Same thing for the buttons, they understand how to function. Like this is 50 from the left side here, but in the reality it's like 300 over from the left, and etc. Yeah, so let's go, and I need to find... Actually, we'll go ahead and close everything. I need to redo the GUI almost from scratch again, because I want to get rid of using... Well, not necessarily using the screen-based system, but I want to take everything we have in here and I want to throw it into a single frame. That way when we start to migrate to the JSON system down the road, we initialize a frame and then we load everything inside the frame that we need. And I want to get away from having really custom handling for all this and turn it all into JSON method calls, where you just go, okay, I want a three frame split, which would be your left, center, and right. And then you just declare that you want this to be 20%, you want this to be 60%, you want this to also be 20%, which is pretty much what we're doing. We're making the right frame a certain size. Actually, you know what? We'll set this to 100. And then what we want to do is get the remaining width for the center, which would be the width of this component minus... actually, we'll make this 109 because we'll have the scroll bar on the side. We'll have to make a variable for this. So go side width equals 109. And we'll pop this into our variables here, that way we're not recreating this every single time, and then it's a little more obvious what we're doing math-wise. So we want to do this times 2, that'll be our center width, and then we'll have this update automatically somehow. Right now, initialize GUI is updating the whole system. Alternatively, rather than doing it this way, we're doing it where we're going to end up with a refresh system. We could end up just caching the current state of the system, and that way when initialize GUI is called, we just go, okay, here's our current state, which was we had this GUI open in this phase. We can do that. The reason I don't want to do that is it's a little bit more complicated and a lot more work. The less work-driven version would just be run a refresh method and just determine what you need to refresh. Which most of the time, all we need to do is refresh the width, height, and update positions. We don't need to do anything else inside the system. Maybe clear out some cached values like what current profile we have. Yeah, these look good. We need to fix that width marker. So I think it's because of this. It's probably is. So what we're seeing is that these are actually probably positioned correctly, but we're not getting the background widths correct. So let's work on that. That's all the way down here somewhere. We really shouldn't be rendering it this way. We should actually do the frame system. I'm gonna leave it this way though, because actually I'm gonna get rid of this one because we don't need the second render. Our second render was that extra profile you saw behind there. We don't need that. That's something we don't need anymore because we're just gonna fix this render to fit properly up here. So we'll leave this one alone. This one is of course the wrong size, which is why it's giving the illusion that it is the right size. It's 109 wide plus 2, I think, is what the width is. We'll fix this later. There we go. That's perfect. And then we'll do plus 4 because we're going to end up with a black edge border here eventually. Actually, you know what? I can probably render that real quick. That would be this dot draw vertical line. And what it would be is a few different things. Hopefully my computer's fan speed isn't coming through the microphone. I think it is. It is revving up and down because the humidity is really hot in here, which means it's conducting heat really, really well. I think I know what this is doing. Because this is your X, this is your Y, this is your X, this is your Y. So we need to provide the X of the Y. So this is X, Y, this is height, and this is color. So well, not 0x. 109 plus 4, or 2. Then 0 on the Y. Then our height is this dot height. And then we want to get, we just want black pretty much. See if that renders correctly. That's not bad. It's a little off on the top here. We can fix that by just going -1 really quick. And we want this to be plus 4. And then I mean, it looks okay. Honestly, it needs to be actually plus 3, but the issue I'm really thinking in my head is I kind of want that to be double wide line, so maybe like 2 pixels thick. But then I have to call a different method for that. Right now, we'll just kind of leave it alone, and I'll work on it later. Because this will be handled by the border edge system. So what you would do is you would have a border edge that would go all the way around, and you would say, okay, I want to only render the right border instead of rendering the top. And if you've ever worked with Java GUI, you can do the exact same thing. You can go, okay, there's a 1 pixel border on the left, and then there's a 0, or actually, I think you set it to -1 in order to get it to stop rendering. I haven't worked with it in a while, so I don't remember exactly. But we'll migrate this over to the frame system later, but that gives us a nice distinct black edge right there, so you know there's a dividing line. So when we get these 2 GUIs next to each other, you won't notice anything. Or you'll notice the separation, but you wouldn't think about it. If those 2 were merged together and there was only 1 color between them, you would go, where's the separation line? You'll get a little confused, or you'd go, oh, that GUI looks like crap. Let's see. So I need this to be 109 plus 4 is where that starting point is. And then we reload. There we go. We're perfectly on the edge. Any subframe we open, by the way, so once we get this open and we click 1, all of our subframes should... Our size is broken. This is where I was talking about I had an issue with the GUIs and stuff when I transitioned to subframe system. You see how this gray square behind me is not perfectly over here? If that gray square is not lined up over with this, that you're missing your hitbox. Because what it does, how to work. Let me open Paint. This will be easier to explain in Paint. Resize to something that's actually usable. So when we're making a GUI, our GUI is like this. We got our side panel, we've got our middle panel, and we've got our left panel. When I go to click, and I click in the middle panel, it'll go, hey, did you just click in the middle panel? And it'll turn yes. And now we have our group frame, which is like this, except it's skewed, it's not rendering properly. And our little button row is right here with all of our buttons on here. When I go to click right here on this button, it's asking, okay, did you just click the group frame? And because the group frame is actually over here and the size is not quite right, it's going, no, you didn't click on the group frame. So therefore it can't ask the user entry, did you click on the user entry? Actually, it'll ask the array list first. It'll go, okay, array list, which would be this box, did you just get clicked on? And it can't ask that question because this one returned false. So let me actually paint this in so it's a little easier to see. So we'll go like paint that in. So it'll go, hey, did you click on this? And it'll go, no, nobody clicked on me. And then it'll go, yeah, we can't click on the other object because it's outside the box and etc. So yeah, that's what's going on. We got to fix that. That's the reason why I had an auto scale system built in, but if you saw in the last few videos when I was working with it, it kept failing on me. It couldn't predict the size properly. So we have to manually set the size. This would probably be... The problem with this is I need to kind of get these to render effectively, and they're not really doing that. This one thing is not working either. So what I want to do is I'm going to really quickly close this all down. I'm going to change all the colors, and damn, that computer's heating up. The weird thing is I actually, not that button. I didn't know Control Escape opened that. That's new for me. I think I discovered that before. But we look at this, I'm only using like 17% CPU usage, but this machine next to me sounds like it's catching on fire. It's been cleaned recently, so it's not that, because I went through and I dusted it all out when I was tearing my computers down when I had those power failures. Because I was like, you know what, if we can clean the computer and get to start using less fan power, that would generate less ampage on the current draw, therefore I'm not going to be flipping the breakers off, because I thought maybe when the computer was revving up, it was sucking up an extra amp that I didn't have available, and it was flipping the breaker. It turned out that was not the issue. Of course, we found the issue out to be one of those internet through the wall socket systems. It was surging, and I actually did some test on it. It actually, I think it's defective. It's got a short somewhere in the components, and it'll short out. And a short, for those who are not familiar with electronics, draws a lot of ampage, and will actually flip breakers. That's the reason why you have something called a surge protector and various other things. Although the surge protector is meant to protect you from exterior devices, not interior devices, it does do the same job. It'll flip it either way, because it'll detect a surge in ampage usage, and it'll flip the breaker. Fuses are designed to do the same thing, by the way, except I think they might be voltage. It's been a while since I've done electronics, so don't quote me on any of this. Go Google and find out your own answers. Like I was getting to before I got sidetracked with a small little rant there, I'm going to change the color of these components, and there should be an override somewhere in one of these components that I can utilize. So yeah, get background color, and all we have to do is go grab the background color. Yeah, that'll work. By the way, that used to draw a gradient rectangle. I found out the gradient rectangle wasn't rendering properly. Probably because I was using it wrong. In reality, that usually is the answer. If I ever find out, like, when something's broken, and I look at it closely, it's like, oh, I'm calling the method wrong. It's not that it's actually broken. Although in this case, I think it may actually be flawed a little bit. And it may have to do with how I'm calling the OpenGL chain. So for our event frame, we're going to return new color. Oh, I got to do follower there. Color.blue. We'll make a blue frame. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to copy this, and I'm going to put this in every single one of my objects here. So we can actually sit here and stare and watch what these are. And as soon as we're done with them, by the way, all we got to do is remove this method, and it's fine. So we're going to do the center one. I'm going to do yellow. I've been trying to use more exotic colors here. I'm trying not to be one of those bland people that goes, everything is gray or everything is a certain color shade or something. Personally, if I had the choice, I would make everything orange. That's my favorite color. I love autumn colors. I was so tempted to go take my website right now, which, by the way, for those who don't go to my website, which I don't blame anybody for not going to this website either. I don't like my own website. So yeah, my own website is kind of bland colors. What we did is we tried to pick, or rather, I picked colors that I thought would be generic and emotionless. When you're designing an information-based site, you want your site to be boring intentionally, so that way when somebody gets onto it, they don't get hyped up or hyped down. Because if you make a really blue site, which unfortunately this is slightly blue, it might bring somebody down and make them sad. You make a really red site, it's going to make them more aggressive. This is actually scientifically proven to actually do this. Yellow sites are hard on the eyes. Same with pink sites and stuff like that. And you like bright color sites. So I went with a whitish, not quite white. It's actually a grayish white background. And of course the default is black, although there used to be a nice image back here, but we removed it in order to reduce bandwidth and everything else. And all the pages are like this. They all use the same color scheme, and it's not too bad when you think about the colors individually, but the combination together doesn't look amazing, and it looks like a site that came out of the early 90s or early 2000s. I've been told this by quite a few people. What I want to do is I want to do a gradient like we do have for this Accolist promotion, is a gradient style system that looks more like the Steam page. If I actually go to steampower.com, I actually told the people who are working on my site, I want a site that looks like this nice blue color that's good on the eyes, that is not overly hyped up, because I mean, you look at the site, it's not the most beautiful looking site for Steam, but it works. It's easy to navigate. You can find your stuff. It's not overwhelming with information. It's got space. The white space between these components is actually very important. It helps people navigate with their eyes. If you cluster everything together and you make things too close to each other, it actually hurts. It hurts mentally because you have to try harder to look and find the same information. This is the reason why if you ever get taught web development or anything like that, they tell you, okay, you don't want to use full paragraphs. You straight out just want to forget everything you've been taught when it comes to English writing. You want to keep it down to 2 to 3 sentences maximum. You want to have nice spaces. You want to break everything out. You want to use headers. You want to use bulletin list. You want to use as little information as possible because people want to skim your site. I mean, you look at here. Do you see like large blocky text? You see short little statements like you see like a thing going like games we believe warrant a purchase from small indie dev titles. It gives you an exact understanding of what that topic is, and it's really, really nice. You see Steam has been working on their site really, really good. They've got the ideals here. Speaking of which, I'm waiting for the new curator system to come out because I might actually start doing that and might actually start promoting games and be like, hey, these are really, really good games, or these are really, really bad games, because they're actually working on that system so you can rate games properly, because the current curator system sucks. There's a guy on YouTube who's got a really nice video on that actually goes through that. He's one of the people that's actually helping YouTube, or not YouTube, actually he's helping YouTube, but he's helping Steam design their new curator system as well. He's also helping YouTube design their system for what's it was, flagging videos and stuff. At least he's trying to fix it so that way you can't abuse the system, because the system's been abused a few times with him. Anyways, we want to change the color. So we got yellow here, and our left render is not actually implemented, but I'm going to go ahead and come down here and we're going to make it anyways. And what we'll do is we'll make this, I don't know, green, random colors. So we'll go ahead and we're going to load this up. I'm going to see what these look like real quick. And we're going to be restarting a few times on this video, because I got to get these GUIs right and working nicely. And for those who are like, why are you still not working on the 1.8 update? I've pretty much given up on hitting that on a deadline now. The plan was to have it done by tomorrow, and I'm nowhere close again. It's problematic, I know. I've been promising you guys to get it updated for a while. It's the troublesome thing with making deadlines. It's the reason I don't like to give ETAs. I know that hitting an ETA is impossible for a mod developer, an indie game developer, because none of us have experience in predicting deadlines. That's something a project manager would do. A project manager would be king at doing that, and none of us are project managers, so none of us are good at picking deadlines. And on top of that, a lot of us have real life things. Like every time I've been throughout this week, I keep getting interrupted while making videos, and I have power failures and have to go to the store and take care of my pets and walk my pets and stuff. And if I had school right now, man, that deadline would not happen. Which, speaking of which, my classes begin again here on the 15th. So as soon as that rolls around, which I've only got a 2-week gap between that now, actually starting the 8th, I'm going to have to start doing preschool work because at 8th to the 15th, the course opens up to be viewed, and a lot of professors expect you to have stuff done by the day before. They don't expect it to be turned in because your turn-in date is usually like Wednesdays or it's usually Sundays. Although I have had professors that are like the very first day want to have these huge assignments done. I failed to turn in a assignment that was worth like 4% of my grade last semester because it was due on Monday, and the assignment was like a 57 question assignment, and it was not a multiple choice assignment. It was short answer, long answer. One of the long answers said you need a minimum of 9 paragraphs. I'm like, you wanted this done on day 1? And the stupid thing is, the professor's like, this is introductory stuff, this is basic, you guys should know this before you start the course. It's like, I should, but I'm not a theoretical programmer. I actually am practical. All my stuff is practically done. If I don't practically use that information, I forget it, which I forgot most of it. I forgot how CPUs worked on a fundamental level before that class, and I forgot all my JVM stuff. Okay, so what we can see here is our width calculation is wrong, but this calculation is right. And good thing is this is hugging perfectly. So what we need to do is we need to update our width calculation to actually get correct. And the weird thing is we're pulling width right off this GUI. So what happened here? Because we're like width minus something, and it's scaling properly, which is telling me the math is functional. I'm going to do real quick because I'm going to call, no, I can't call update screen, that's not a thing. So we're like set width. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to set, I'm going to do like a relative position system. I think I can do that. I don't think I can. I could program GUI event frame to hug the right side no matter what, but this is where I want to put everything inside of a frame, because I put everything inside of an actual frame that controlled everything, and then what I could do is, okay, grab the width of this frame which we're in, which would supposedly be the same width as this, which is not. Could it be possible the width is being set afterwards? It feels weird that our width calculation would be... I figured out what's wrong here. Here's our problem. We still had some old percentile code in there. So if I resize it, it's working now. There we go. Now we just need to make sure that this isn't going off the screen, off the edge here. I'm not quite sure how to check that. We could do a border render. You know what? Here, we'll do this real quick. GUI. Oh, hold on. There should be a hotkey for this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a hotkey for this. I remember implementing it, but I don't think I ever tested it. Yeah, look at our huge testing system here. I think there is a hotkey for it, but I don't think it's enabled on our subsystem here. So what we want to do, so I want to grab this whole cluster here. I want to put this up here and encapsulate our entire key call system here, which is really important, by the way, is that we check all this stuff, because this event that gets fired here is fired as soon as Minecraft loads. So we can literally have key binds being thrown off. Oh, let me look at this. Man, they never finished this event here. That's the sad part about this. Is I wish this event was finished, because it gets fired, but then they don't pass in this for you automatically. Like, I'd just be like to call event get the current key instead of calling the keyboard, because theoretically this could change between cycles. I've actually seen it happen a few times. It's not supposed to, but it does. Anyways, so what we're gonna do is pop this up here, and then we're gonna just make a new line. So we're gonna go, okay, let's say, the stupid thing about this is picking a key that is not used. because Minecraft does not have a system in place to pass key events back properly. And I don't think the keyboard event system is cancelable either. Yeah, it's not a cancelable event, so you cannot consume a key press. I would have to literally turn Minecraft's keyboard system off and take full control of it in order to fix this problem. Where if I hit Control W, I still move forward when I shouldn't. I actually could do Control W. It actually would work. It just would be weird. What we want to do is we're going to go GUI components dot enable debug equals GUI components dot enable debug, and then we want to do the opposite of it. Reload real quick and Control W. Why aren't you working? W key, left control. Minecraft doesn't equal null, world doesn't equal null, player doesn't equal null, so I should get this key event here. The GUI is taking over the key presses. I didn't know that was even a thing, but it is. It's probably why this wasn't here in the first place, is I tried to make it work earlier, and then I think I came to the same conclusion that the GUI has control of this. Now the GUI has systems built in for this. The problem is I don't think the screen we're in actually is set up for it. So let me go to the super real quick. And we do have a mouse input here. We have key types, so we actually could implement this here. So I'm going to go with engine.running as dev. And then what we're going to do is I equals keyboard dot key W and keyboard dot key or left control. Actually, how are we doing it over here? Or I just need to open that back up. How are we checking if the key's down? Oh, here's how we're doing it. Key down. Then what we do is go GUI component dot enable debug equals GUI component dot the inverse of enable back. And then we would do return here to prevent the rest of the keys from getting access to that call. And then Control W. I'm not getting anything right now. Okay, let me put a break line here. And if I'm not getting anything, I'm actually curious if my keyboard's working. Okay, we actually got some stuff here. Hit play again. Okay. Okay, what key am I getting? I'm getting key 29. You're key 11. Is it detecting the control key before it's detecting anything else? It probably is. We'll just do it this way. Should make sure I'm using the right keyboard object. Because that actually could be the problem too. I'm laughing. I'm hearing my brother explain to my mom again how to use the TV. It's not very hard. There we go. That's what I was trying to enable the whole time. So I have debug to tell me the size of all the components, which is really nice because I can turn it on and off. Tell me the IDs of everything. It'll tell me the size borders of them, so we can see clearly that this one's going off the edge over here. So what we want to do is we want to change the width of this by a couple more. So we want to take width off by 2. And what we do is we close that, we reload it back up, and it's still going off the edge. Yeah, because we're not seeing the edge render. Yeah, okay. So let's take this off by 4. default frame.getWidth. Yeah, the code looks pretty good actually. There we go. It's not off the edge anymore. Although I think these render inside the edges. I might have to check the. Well, yeah, the renders because we can see this stuff. By the way, the green dot is where the positioning. That's where your XY for your components actually is. And I've got a black dot in every corner to tell me where the edge of everything is. We can tell, by the way, if you didn't notice, that some of these components are going off the edge. Actually, this background is not a component, but we can see this one down here is off the edge. So we need to adjust the height. Where's our height call? I think the height is actually initialized in the center GUI. Because this actually does have some auto update logic. Because it's designed to update the group frame. And yeah, it's got get height, but it needs to be get height minus 40. And you can see the very edge of it down there right now. And it also modified this a little bit. I saw that change size slightly. I can't tell if it is really off the screen or if my taskbar is a little too high. Let's resize. Yeah, it's off the screen. So we'll need to bring it in actually 42. Looks like Minecraft doesn't have a perfect width height match. Let's do that. Okay, there's something definitely wrong here. What's our height? Our height should be 40 here. But I think this is a lot larger for some reason. I think Minecraft's height system is not quite right. Or I'm missing something here. Oh no, okay, I'm not paying attention. The yellow one's what we're adjusting, so what is this gray thing? What is this gray we're seeing back here? What is that? So this needs to be probably 42. I was probably right on the first time. No, 40 should work actually. Get that size down perfect. It's good enough. It's a little bit off the edge. We got a gray texture box behind us, and I wonder what that is. And I'm trying to think of like a way we can de-render it. That'll de-render it. Okay, so that gray texture box was our groups panel. Something's wrong with it. Size is wrong. I mean, this should be... Okay, so this is rendered as part of our system here. This needs to be rendered as part of our group frame. Do we have render code in here? No, we don't. This whole thing needs to be pulled up by another 20. So this actually needs to be minus 20. Actually, you know what this will be? This will be minus 5. Yeah, because then I don't have to update this ever again. It'll just work. So this has to be 20, and then we'll need to want to make this 20 as well. Because all of our header bar is only going to be 20. And if we resize, there we go. So yeah, that's a good size for a header bar. So we'll bring down the thing a little bit so it'll line up more perfectly, and we'll give it a nice background component. That's good. We just need to figure out why our group frame here is going off the edge down there. I'm going to start having to add names to here. See how we got numbers here, but the numbers aren't very useful. They just tell me what the button IDs are. For some reason, this is still running with a button ID 4, even though it doesn't need one. Do -1 right there. Because you see, we got no action handling for 4. Almost all of the stuff is set to button ID -1 now if it doesn't need to run. I mean, it looks good. Why is this drawing a gradient? It's either a gradient or I'm getting part of the skybox in the background coming through that. Which it might actually be the case. That's good. We gotta bring that down a little bit. No, I think we can bring this up just a little bit more. So let's change this to 15. And then of course we'd have to resize the GUI to get it to update real quick. That's really nice actually. And I must have hit the wrong spot on this. Oh, I changed the default position of that. That won't reload unless I update this. And somehow I screwballed something here. This needs to stay 20 probably. This is the Y position. That's actually not bad. We need to bring it down a little bit more. This needs to be like 25 at least. Oh, it looks pretty good. If you like remove the border edge, you can see it looks a lot nicer. And of course, these would be a different color. And then I'm probably going to stretch this header all the way across and then bring all these buttons down. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and set up a render for it too while we're at it. So this would just be a gradient render we would run. And we would just run a really dark color in it. So this would be 0, 0, and not the height. We want this to be like 15 tall. And what is this width? To be this width. Let's go ahead and do that real quick because we'll see it pop up almost immediately. Okay, so yeah, we got a background going across there now. Cool. We would want to draw a horizontal line behind it while we're at it. So we're going to name this header bar render. And this would be a frame is what we ended up making this actually as later. That way, because like I said, we want to move everything to frame objects. That way we're no longer using Minecraft's native GUI directly, we'll be using it indirectly. That way when I update the 1.8, 1.9, 10, or whatever, if they change the GUI system, I don't care because all I have to do is update my code. I don't have to rework my entire GUIs like most devs have to do. I've seen some devs throw absolute fits because they updated their mod and they were like, oh, I got to do the whole GUIs again. Like, none of my stuff works anymore. I wouldn't have that problem because all my GUIs would be made through JSON. All I have to do is make sure the JSON stuff works. But I have JUnit testing, which would ensure that that actually does work. Anyways, we need a horizontal line is actually what we need. Draw a horizontal line. Okay, so this would be 0. And then this would be the width. This would be this width. And then we need our Y level, which would be 15. And this should work, so if we reload, I'm not seeing anything. Must have messed something up. Okay. Why is it the Y level? Is that the width? I hate this system. I'm gonna just copy this real quick. The horizontal draw lines are just really dumb to interpret half the time. So you just want to draw a rectangle. And this would be our X, our Y. Then we need, the width would be fine on this. And then we want this to be 15. Plus 1, which actually would be, this would be 16. That's good. We're going to bring it up one though. Get a extra thick border. That's good. Ish. Yeah, actually, you know, the one thick actually works much better. Nice, smooth, thin line there, going straight clear across. And we would want to render our text on the other side of that. So we'd come down here, and this actually is part of this. And now we need to drop the Y level on this to 15. Same with our bar. Can we? Yeah, I think we just put 15 in there. Nope. Vertical line render has got some weird code running in it because it's not rendering perfectly where it's supposed to be. And this would of course be minus 14 because we don't want to render off screen and we're just kind of wasting cycles on the CPU. So that gets our breakup pretty good right there. Of course, once again, this will be a frame system later. I'm just going ahead and get the layout done so I know what I'm... Why is that? You see how that I minus the height off that and that should have been 14 and it's not rendering with 14 height? Minecraft, you're kind of disappointing me here. Anyways, yeah, that's good. We just need to drop our buttons down now. So Right now, 20 is our button position. Oh, that's our width wise. Oh, that's yeah, that's our width. That's X. So it's our Y needs to go down to 16 would be a good number for both these. My phone just got pegged by something. No, yeah, that's DMod telling me that he's been doing stuff. Oh wow, I got a lot of messages in here. I should read chat more often. DMod posted me saying stuff is breaking. Somebody's got questions about radar. Okay, so back to this. So yeah, we just refresh, I think. Yep, positioning's good. We just now have to drop down our profile array by that number should work. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. Nice little handling. And of course we would see this space up here. I know it's empty and stuff, but there would be other things up here. Like there would be an X button here. I may put like a help icon here. There may be a few different like tools that are stuck up here because I mean you got a lot of space up here. But the thing is you want to just go ahead and leave that for the header mostly, so that way you're not interfering and it looks more like a traditional application. It looks more like the File Explorer here, which has that header up there. And you'd have your menu, of course, and I don't really like this whole thing right here. I wish there's a way to auto-hide this, I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, that button needs to be moved a little bit up here. And we're mostly just kind of, at this point, just cleaning up the GUIs and making them look really nice. Trying to get the positioning math quite right, and I don't see that big group empty thing we were having a couple minutes ago. Actually, it's still there. We can still see it. And if we hit Control this, I'm pretty sure that is the group frame, and I think I know how to fix it. Because what's missing is that we've got a minus like 15 to make this, and it's like a minus 40 down to here. So what I need to do is I need to take the height position of this and minus it to get the height properly. And I think it's an issue with the center screen, yeah, which we're right down here. It's going to be minus I should work. Found double? What? How did you find a double? Okay. It looks correct. So it looks like they may have fixed it, so we got our positioning correct. We need to expand this box in the middle here, which is our group array system. This would be inside the GUI group frame. And we're looking at another 40 pixels maybe. Let's try that. That didn't work for some reason. Oh yeah, because it's already created. That's the reason that didn't work. Still didn't work. It's not this width. We want to get... No, that should have worked. Oh, because we're forcing the width here. We're forcing the width and the height. That definitely should have worked. Oh no, I gotta reset the GUI. Still not doing this job. Okay, so it's probably partially because of this, which is the reason why it's not working, because we we need to reset this position, and I need to come up with a way to relatively increase it and decrease width. I have an idea, but I'm going to have to restart Minecraft. I've been thinking about doing this like for a little bit, because it's the same as our relative position system. It's the same as kind of how Java handles it. It's no different. You just have to come up over here, and we got to go private ipos2d relative size. So we'll make a system for that, and we'll go like refractor, encapsulate fills. And we need to go all the way down to down here, and every time you set it, we need to go okay, if up, or there should be a variable for this, update positions. Come on, is there one? There's not one in this one. No, I guess there's not. Is there like an actual update position here? There is. So we're just going to call that, and we're just going to hope whatever runs it does what it's supposed to do correctly. But you set relative size, and then we go to the get width and set width calls. So when you get the width, what you want to do is you want to go, okay, if get relative size doesn't equal null, return get relative size dot xi. And what you're doing is you're going to go, okay, if we have a relative size value, we want to return that no matter what. This will break compatibility with other people's stuff, so it's not going to work perfectly, but I don't care. If you're calling this directly, you're abusing things in Minecraft you're not supposed to abuse. And this would be yi. And we just got to hope all my code calls get width and gets height correctly, and then we just have to create some stuff for it. So we need to create a resize system. And it's pretty much the same as our get relative positions things. We're just going to make a sub package for it. So we'll make one called size. And then we'll make GUI relative size. Abstract pause. We're gonna extend this. That way I can get the methods for it real quick, because it does work slightly better. And then what we want to do is we just want to get int width, int height, and then we just return width and height. And of course we'd have a parent object on top of this. So we'd actually have, actually, does GUI contain the width and the height objects? It does not, so we can't do that. But we can do our GUI component, and this would be host. And what you would do is host.width minus width, or plus width actually is how you would do it. And then you go host.height plus it. Because what you're doing is you're making it match the size of it. So to be relative size of the host object. And we go public GUI relative size GUI component host. And we go int width, int height. Maybe this dot host equals host. And then anytime the host resizes, our stuff will resize automatically. So we don't have to keep doing it, because every time we call it, it recalculates the value. It's not, for those who go like, but that's slower to recalculate things. It's actually not. The amount of time it actually takes to access stuff in memory, believe it or not, it can be faster just to calculate the variable. You have to kind of weigh that when you're designing things. But it's most of the time it is faster just to kind of just recalculate things. The only time it becomes slower is when you're doing things like really complicated math, or you're doing precision math. So if you're doing anything with floating points or decimal points, catching those is not a horrible idea, depending on what you're doing. It depends on how often you're calling it. We're calling this pretty much every frame render, but because they're integers, they calculate really, really fast. And you just waste memory storing them. Though what you could do is you could store them theoretically and then just not recalculate unless the GUI changes. that is actually something we could end up doing. But for this, what we want to do is we want to kind of set the relative frame here. How to do this? So we're going to go group frame.set relative size, and this would be new GUI relative size. Then we would return this as our object, and we want to not modify the width, we want our width to match, but we want our height to be modified by a certain value. This one's a little tricky. Because it's basically, we want it to be right here. So this is what we're doing. So to be center frame.y right now, but I need to leave myself a reminder to make this procedural. Because what we're doing is we're kind of setting ourselves up for this to fail down the road. The rest of this we shouldn't have to deal with. I'm kind of looking at it going, gotta make sure we're updating our own height. And we should be actually calling it set height here. That way we're triggering repositions and stuff. We're going to calculate, actually no, we'll do this first here. And new height. I want to make sure I'm not triggering an update call every single tick, because that'll actually slow down performance enough to it'll show slightly. It'll show on slower computers. It won't show on fast computers. If your computer's fast, this won't affect it whatsoever. No matter what I do, I have to try really hard to screw up a fast computer. But this should work. So this will update, and what we could do is we could set our relative position to also work for this object. The only reason we can't is because our parent object is a GUI screen, and our system only works on GUI components, which a screen is not. If I was using interface-driven logic, which I do need to start migrating towards, I could do it then. But we'll get that, and that should update our relative position on that. And then we need to go into our GUI frame group, and we need to set it up here. So we need to go, okay, group array dot set relative size, and it would be new GUI relative size. That would be this. We don't want to modify the width, but our height needs to be modified by, what are we setting our height to right now? Hugx. The thing is, our height is not the same size as our group frame object, I don't think. It might be. So we're just going to put a 0 here as well. And we'll see when we load up what's going to go on. We got the system set up though. That's the important thing. As long as the system is set up, we can modify it as we go. But if we have to add new methods and stuff, then we're getting into the point where we have to reload Minecraft. And we're already almost to the end of this video anyways. I'll end up making another one. Although I can only work till 3 as I promised people I would actually go play games with them. I've been working really, really hard the last 2 weeks, and I've been pretty much ignoring my buddies on their gaming requests, which I tried to tell them as like, hey, I'd be working hard the next couple weeks. We can only play games a couple hours every so often so I can get my work done. But they're like, no, come play with us, come play with us. I mean, we're all grown adults. We should not be gaming every single day. Especially considering we play like the same 3 games over and over again. And I'm not saying I'm getting bored of the games, but I do like some variety. Especially considering the fact that I've kind of lost love for shooter games, and it's really hard for me to get them back. I'll play things like Killing Floor, but outside of that, not very often. Although I'm really in love with MechWarrior right now, but that's because that's more of a robot killing game than a classical shooter, because you play more like you're a tank than you play like a first-person shooter. I know they both actually have that aspect that they're both first person, you're both shooting a weapon. But there's a difference, and I probably just need to learn more terminology to explain this better. When you're playing something like Call of Duty, it doesn't play and feel the same as if you're playing, say, a mech game or a tank game. There's even a huge difference between Battlefield and just Call of Duty on their gameplay styles. There's a higher paced combat style in Call of Duty than there is in Battlefield, even though I've seen some amazing high paced combat in Battlefield, especially the new one. People have done some really cool things. That game is really impressive. Although Call of Duty is coming out with a new World War II game as well, and I kind of want to see where that goes, but I mean, all the Call of Duty games have been kind of geared towards little kids. Not in a good way either. Because they say they make these games for adults, but then their majority of their player base is under the age of 18. Okay, we completely broke our yellow bar here. Okay, so this is gonna fail. See the gray box here? This is the Axis Systems box. This is actually matching this size almost perfectly. So yeah, we broke everything. Okay. So if we go up to here, set relative size, our width should match the group frame's width. So now we're back to the ideal that this isn't matching the super's width properly. And if we go to here, our width and our height's not being set though. That's what we wanted to fix in the first place, wasn't it? I just realized that. So set height, and that would be this dot height minus whatever our height axis is, with 15. And if we resize real quick, it should adjust. Now we need to check to see, yeah, it's actually matching the height perfectly. And our internal bar did not update. Or did it? I see another blue bar going all the way out here and then coming down. So we've got two objects going here, but then I can't tell which is what. We're not getting the blue bars on the GUI background for some reason. Yeah, this should have a background render, which it does, but it's not doing the debug for it. Might have overridden something by mistake. Guess we'll set the height right over here too for this one. This will fix as soon as I resize. So you got that nice big blue bar over there, and you can see the edges is pretty good. The edge is literally off by like a pixel, and that could be Minecraft's math not being perfect. I'll go check it out later and see if it is wrong. Although if I start messing with that, I gotta go test aspect ratio is really good. We used to have a text scaling system that broke all the time, and it broke because the aspect ratio wasn't quite right, and whoever coded it messed it up. I eventually did fix it, and then after a while I even ditched it because it was like, you know what, we're scaling just to fit. Because it was for the programming GUI for the assembly line robotic arm. So you had like a command line you could open up and you could program the arm to move, and you could do functional programming with it. And it had to be like purely functional programming, so there was no input data. It was all ABC type of mathematical system. Worked kind of like the Minecraft AIs, but Minecraft AIs are more or less functional. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, functional programming is where you run code line 1, 2, 3, and then there's a switch statement, and you'll pop to where the switch statement is. Purely functional, there's not really even a switch statement. It's there, but it's really statically driven. Like the flow of the program will always be the same, and nothing will ever change. I mean, functional programming is the same way, but purely functional gets rid of the decision-making processes. So if you put the character A in there, and that was your only input variable, the program will only match that A character. The program for B will actually be different. Where functional, you would use the same program for everything, and all the switch statements would still be there, and it's complicated. The reason I'm bringing this up is I was talking to Z-Master yesterday about it, because he wants to make a purely functional programming language, and we couldn't figure out how to fix the memory issues with it. Because you have to store every possible state. So if you had the full alphabet as your possible input, so you had like 27, you would have to store all 27 variables. Where with a with a normal functional language, you could just check against A or something. I mean, this is... It's hard to say, like, what's going wrong with it. We need to fix our scroll bar, I guess, here. Getting its width fixed. Because well, no, it might not be... Actually, you know, it might actually be in here. Yeah, it's... Do that real quick. Wait. So we down screen it. You see how we down screen it? It's fine. And we up screen it didn't change any? What in the world? I don't know how to test this though. Because it should always work. Because it's not based on the current, well, it is based on the current state of the system, but it's not statically set, so it's, every time you call width, it'll change. And all these are components. It's the only thing that could be problematic is the center frame. We might want to recalculate the width. Well, no, because every time we hit the resize on this, it actually is remaking the whole entire GUI. So every time we do this, it's resizing the GUI for us. And you notice how this center object, it just changed size right after I said it was not going to change size. It's pretty much staying the same exact size every single time. But I can't tell if that's a problem because it's not the center frame. The center frame we clearly can watch. It's changing size perfectly. But then we're not getting a change size on these components here. These components are contained within. I mean, these are the center frames. These ones won't change size. That's expected. But this should change size. Are we not initializing? No, it wouldn't matter if we're initializing or not, because this should update. Surprised it's actually working, considering that code's broken. This code right here is like almost meaningless. It's not going to work. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and I'll start the next one, and then we'll continue on this problem.